I guess Sam, it's Brian. Just one question. I guess before you guys got into the discussion of just using the 75K in this next phase, I was thinking to myself, the old part of town hall, most of it's already predetermined, right? So it probably is not going to be a $200,000 to do the drawings on that portion. The bottom floor is what it is, and then the upper floor is obviously dictated by the by the steel structure that separates basically determines where the walls go. Right. So I guess I'm pleased to hear that we're not going to spend 200K redrawing a building that's already laid out. But it begs the question: if we're only going to spend 75 of this 200 on the old building, what was the logic behind requesting 200 as opposed to say 75 plus some cushion, maybe 100? I'm just curious why the other 125 is there.
So the other 125 was driven by the utilities and those mechanisms that will be in the basement of Old Town Hall. Okay. I think that was the school of thought we were going with.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happened in the prior rendition of this project, is that a lot of utilities got put in the basement of Old Town Hall because, number one, they'd fit there, and number two, it could qualify for CPP money.
And number three, there's not much else we can do with that space.
Well, we got a jail. We might need it. You never know.
We got a jail and lots of stage props down there right now.
Anybody have any questions? Any capital budget members?
Well, the only thing, assuming that this will eventually result in a new town hall, I wonder if anyone would comment on the fact we had asked several months ago if there'd be a good planning document that would have things like details like overall objectives, specifications, design concepts, illustrations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, before we launch ourselves into another spending of money. We've already spent a lot of money on architects and engineers and planners. So the question is, are we really going to get a well-detailed set of design documents before we have to commit to actually building a new town hall? I guess that's what we're looking for, is something much more explicit about what are our design objectives and what are the specifications, so that we can speak more intelligently about this whole thing, and then in fact the people who actually do the design can be more intelligent about what they're actually going to produce. I mean, that's been sort of a question for a very long time, over at least 3 iterations of town hall that I can remember. So
sure. So Ralph, I can answer that. So we did go back to our OPM, and we did just that. We asked everybody on the committee, as well as the committee liaisons, to come up with their priorities. We asked everyone to come up with their top 3 priorities of what they want to see in the new town hall. And the consensus was almost overwhelming that a lot of people wanted to see, energy efficiency, and people wanted to see a really good space plan to make sure that we weren't wasting space. Also, handicap accessibility was high on the list, but I can share that list with you. There was about 15 items that gained overall consensus from everybody. And we did share that with the OPM, who shared it with the architect. And we have been going through the space planning portion with the architect to talk about, do we need all the space that we thought we once needed? I mean, this has opened a lot of eyes, and we just want to make sure that we're planning for the future. And but I'm happy to share that with you. We do have that document.
Okay, that would be correct. That was, that's all we really were looking for, is a really well thought out project, so that when you get into it, you don't get the rejection at town meeting. That's what you're looking for. So,
right.
Okay,
So I'll share that with you.
Okay, thanks.
Would it be correct, Michelle, to say that that's in process right now?
So the objectives are completed.
Yeah.
We've done that piece. The space planning is in process now.
Yeah.
We're hoping to have a call this coming Monday to discuss where everything shakes out as far as space and what the future will look like for Town Hall.
Okay. Any other questions?
How, Michelle and Chris, and anyone else from the project that's on, how, you spent a little bit of time now with the architect that was selected, a little bit of time with the OPM. I understand that we may have switched horses on the OPM from our original choice. how are you feeling about the professionals we've selected? Do you feel that they're listening to you and hearing you and, you know, and integrating that into their thinking as opposed to just drawing whatever building it is that they want to draw and hoping that we're going to push it through?
So 100%. And I can say, as a matter of fact, on the last call with the architect came back and said, based on everything you're saying, you're telling me you want a smaller building than what you initially said. So he is listening to what we're saying and he's incorporating everything into the design. We'll know more this coming Monday, but they really are a great team and they work well together. So that's beneficial as well. So I do feel as though they're listening. And as always, if anyone wants to attend the meetings, I mean, they're great. They're very informative and they're always looking for, you know, some feedback.
Super. And on the OPM side, I you know, very familiar with Vertex as a firm. Are you comfortable that we have the right person from Vertex to run our project?
Yes, 100%. So
Okay.
when we decided to change OPMs, when they gave their presentation to us, you know, there was a group of 10 people that came in and one person primarily was doing the presentation. And when we decided to switch, we said, you know what, we're not comfortable at this point awarding Vertex the business because we've only heard this one person. So if you're going to give us this one person and they're going to lead the project, then, you know, we want you on our team. And since we said that one person who happens to be the vice president over there has been leading the entire project. So he's getting us through. And the project lead who will eventually take over is wonderful. I mean, I think we really got lucky this time.
Okay. And that lead has been lead on projects in the past?
Yes.
Not just part of a team, but it's actually been lead.
Yes, has been lead on many projects.
Okay.
And has actually worked with the architect on other projects.
Perfect.
It's been actually kind of refreshing, Brian. Not to say anything bad at all about the prior process, but you know, you learn. Never having been through it, we've been through it. They've been incredibly responsive, and they've been a little bit humbled too about how, you know, that they did. You know, they finished second last time in the process, and and they've really come in not just humble, but really eager. I think it's even more important. They're extremely eager, and they are listening. They've already done some very creative things, which is it's always exciting when at the very beginning of a project, people are already finding exciting new ways of saving and adding value. And again, because with the principal being the leader, you know, that's been an eye opener because they're all in on this, which is and it's good. It's good when the firm is putting its putting something in the game. They have real skin in this game, and they really want this to succeed.
No, that's great. I mean, I feel like we had good firms on the last go round, but perhaps not the right people for the project. You know, we had an architect that was brilliant at historical, but had never really designed a new building. And we had an OPM firm that was awesome, but we had a first-time lead. And the combination was tricky.
I think we have a well-seasoned team all around. I think both from the architect and the OPM.
Fantastic. That's great news. It starts there. It really starts there, and everything else should follow nicely.
Even more importantly, Michelle's the primary staff lead, and she's doing an outstanding job too.
I'm sure she is. Right.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions on town hall? Okay, let's move on to the school fencing. And I didn't put this on the agenda correctly, where it says vote on DPW truck lease, scratch that whole thing out. Because we've already accomplished that. But the school fencing, Russ, do you want to fill us in a little bit on what that is?
It's to bring it into compliance with mass disability laws. It had been done some years ago and conformed to the federal ADA. Massachusetts version of the ADA is stricter and takes precedence. This is to separate, they have to separate the playground by age groups. This is going to separate the 3 to 5 year old or 3rd to 5th grade from the rest of the area. The school has raised a lot of the money that's needed for this project. And we just came up to bridge the gap.
Is this at Deer Hill?
Deer Hill or Osgood? I don't have the application with me. I believe it was Osgood.
Okay. Actually, Osgood would make more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was 3rd to 5th grade, so I
Well, 3rd to 5th
I
is
probably
Deer
should,
Hill.
but I have no clue what school takes which grades.
Anybody have any questions with regard to the school fencing? Okay, I don't know if we want to treat these all together and take one vote that encompasses all of them, or if we want to separate it out. I'd say if anybody has an objection to a single item and it is going to vote against it, say so now, and we'll take them one at a time. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to on all 4 of the items.
And that's how I plan on presenting them to town meeting, is one
All
vote.
at once?
All at once. If they want to
Yeah.
separate, we can separate. If we do them all at once, this thing's tomorrow night's going to be a nightmare anyway, but this will take a good half hour off of it.
Russ, how can you say that?
Experience.
Well, I'm not hearing that anybody wants to separate them, so I'll,
Let me ask a question, okay? The only one that's really very different here is the Milliken Field one, which is bathroom and storage. We've been through this before in the past, I think, and the question has always been, if you're going to put in brand new bathrooms, who's maintaining these things? And is this really necessary after, 40 years of being here and never having the need to have a specific bathroom at Milliken Field? This is a big change.
This is an extension of what had been approved years ago. It hit the end of its term and we're just renewing it.
I see, okay.
Yeah,
What-
if I may.
Ralph, unlike us, capital budget approves or recommends an appropriation and they put a time frame on it. So if the money's not used, they take it back.
Yep.
That's part of their, I guess, approval process. And these items, these 4 items on the list are ones they had priorly approved. We had heard them and recommended them, and now they're just extending the time frame on
Got
it.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. All right.
The Historical Society one is being extended. They got a bill about 3 days after we dinged the $8,400 that was left in the account. So we're opening that up again. The Tredice House, both the supplemental and the handicapped funding will more than likely be taken back come the fall town meeting, because it doesn't look like they're going to need the money, but rather than leaving them in the lurch, we extended those. The youth baseball, again, is the same thing. They're not done with the work. Milliken, well, Chris can give you a better idea of what's going on with that one. But Sandy Beach as well. They may not use that $3,400, but rather than making them come back to get it again, we gave them until the fall to let us know if they want it or not. And if they don't, then we'll take it back. We're taking back a couple accounts that aren't on there for about $100,000 roughly. They didn't used to put deadlines on them. And a few years ago, we took back almost $1 million in accounts that were just hanging out there collecting dust.
Understand, Russ, we have the same problem, although we decided not to put a deadline on some, but just review them annually.
Yeah,
And, just 2 different approaches, because some of the things we get into take too long.
yeah.
We're still working on Treats Pond.
Well, some we do. The grant we gave to the pool last year doesn't have a 3-year deadline to it because it's going to be phased over the next 3 years to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look at them case by case, but we try to keep it in the 3 just so we don't have a ton of money floating out there that's never going to be used.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will entertain a motion for all four at once if somebody wants to make it.
Sure. I'm happy to make that motion, Sam, to approve all four items as well as the extensions of the prior approvals.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have to vote on the prior stuff, but we can.
Okay, Ralph Dormitzer, second.
We will do a roll call vote. I'll start with you, Ralph, because you're on my screen.
Okay, Ralph Dormitzer, aye.
Brian,
Brian Host, aye.
Sam Wakeman, aye. Francine,
Francine Lyons, aye.
Susan. You there, Susan? You're muted.
She's on mute, yeah.
I don't know if she's still there. No, we'll
She's stepped away.
continue on. Michael, why don't you vote just in case?
Michael Fetcher, aye.
Okay. And that's all I have right now, unless anybody has anything else. I think tomorrow night is going to be quite interesting. My understanding, well, Chris, you can tell us how this is going to work, because I've gotten dribs and drabs from different places.
Have any of you seen the video?
Yeah.
No, I've
If you went, actually, if Michelle will give me the power to share, I can. If you indulge me, I will share the video, and you can see it right now.
Is it on the town website?
It is, and it's on 143 TV. So
How do you get to it on the website?
that's a good question.
I've looked and I haven't found anything.
Yeah, I know it was. I asked that it be posted as far and wide as it could be. Here, if you give me just, are you still with us, Michelle, hiding out there somewhere?
Yes, I'm here.
If you give me the power to share?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Here, I want to just play it for you. Make it easy. Okay. Online appears in my email box about 5 different ways. There we go.
Do you have it? I can also grab it off the website.
If you, yeah, sorry, I'm having trouble finding it here. I just
Sorry
played it the
today.
other day.
Let me see.
Michelle, do you know where it is on the website?
Looking. Hang on.
I think it's
Some
a,
has it 143.
well, is that where it is now? I don't know why. I just the other day.
See.
Well, as Michelle is trying to find it. So basically, what happens? Folks will have two options. If you live in the neighborhood and want to walk, you can. You'll go through gate 4. You checked in, and you can sit in seating, socially distanced seating in the front of the area. Most people will hop in their cars. They'll drive in, and they'll come in gate 1. That's the gate that's just 3A, up towards the school. You'll be queued up in that parking lot. Then you'll be directed behind, kind of along the side, the back side of the property. And it'll break into 2. There'll be parking lot attendants. You'll follow their direction, and there'll be 2 check-in stations with 3 check-ins. So there'll be 6 people checking people, as many as 6 people checking people in at a time, with a poll pad, the electronic poll pad. So you'll pull up, they'll validate who's in the car, who's a registered voter, and then you'll get a packet for each person. And the packet will include the motions, which people can download. I'll have those posted on the website tomorrow. And again, I just sent them to Sam and you, Brian. So if you want to distribute electronically, you're free to do that too. And they'll have a pack of that, a little one sheet about where things are on the property, or there's bathrooms and what to do if there's an emergency, and what the radio frequency is 93 point something or other, but it's kind of be important to know what it is, so you can turn your FM radio on. And then you'll be directed to a slot. The way it's set up is that it's set up so the cars kind of alternate with each other, so they won't be blocking a view. And there's exit rows and safety rows, so if people had to leave early for whatever reason, they could. The stage is up front. Dan will be up there. I'll be up there. There'll be a couple of video screens, and then there'll be microphones throughout the parking lot, kind of like at annual town meeting under tents, and there'll be staff members there too. So if somebody wants to speak on any article, you just come out. Yeah, you should be wearing a mask. You'll go to the microphone stand. There'll be markings so you know how safely to stand, kind of like you're in the supermarket. The flag man will hold it, or the flag person will hold the flag down. Will acknowledge you, and then you can speak. And the microphones will be wiped down. You won't have to touch them anyway, but they'll be wiped down periodically to make sure they're safe and they're cleansed. And then again, there'll be 2 video boards up front and speakers as well. It's going to be unique, but it's and there's been a lot of people working on this. Dan Evans has been on site. Carol's been on site. We've had IT on this and facilities. Glenn Pratt in emergency management. I think a lot of the CERT team is on site to help with parking. So it should be quite a production. The hope and some of the more controversial things which deserve a good debate, like the water rate increase, and some of the zoning articles have been pushed off till the fall. A number of articles on the warrant are going to come off. For example, there's no reports of committees. There's no unpaid bills. The FEMA article is going to be pulled. FEMA's changed its process after forcing us to go down this path. Then there's a number of other, the citizens petition, for example, again, has also been preempted, providing Article 21 passes by a much more comprehensive article that was drafted by council. So there'll be on the budget, there'll be a presentation on the aggregation article. Obviously, Sam will be discuss your kind of come up and talk capital, I hope. Russ will be there to talk CPC, and then I think a short presentation on the solar lease proposal at the very end of the warrant. Otherwise, a lot of the articles are comparatively routine. Again, if anyone has any questions, we'll be most certainly prepared to answer them. So, and the website has a lot of backup material if anybody wants to see anything before tomorrow night, or even during tomorrow night. And then 143 TV has a series of sat down with Don Pyatt, and we talked the budget for a good half hour. Sat down with Sam. We did about half an hour on the capital plan. We know that part. And then I did about an hour with Quinn Kelly, the Mariner reporter, just talking about the warrant in general. So there's a lot of resources if people want to learn anything else about the meeting itself.
I have a question.
Sure.
What is the process? Say something comes up which requires a committee vote at town meeting and requires discussion among the committee before they can vote. How are we supposed to handle that?
You can cluster together. I mean, you're allowed to leave. If something like that had to happen, there's a grassy area up in front, and you can always either do that or go off to the side and socially distance in a safe manner as a group and talk. The selectmen are going to do that before the meeting. They're going to get the meeting starts just to formally convene as a group, so standing up in front. Hopefully that won't be necessary, but if it is,
Well, yeah, what if, something could come up out of the audience and who knows?
That's
Okay.
possible.
So I do have the video finally. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. You shouldn't apologize. Nobody else can find it, but at least you found it.
Took me a while.
You have to tell us how to. The fact that you had to find it that hard, it makes me concerned about where it is. So.
Excuse me.
We need to click on it to,
Nope, I'll click.
you're going to do it. Okay.
There's a musical background to this, by the way. I'm sorry it's not playing.
Am I the only one that can hear the music?
Yes, you are.
Looks like you better come early and bring a good book to read for a while.
It's a good question. What time will they start letting people into the parking lot to go through the check-in and all?
I think I think we're opening 45 minutes early. So
5:15.
yeah, and if people want to park across the street in the senior center and walk across, you're welcome to do it if you really feel like it. But that's really more for non-voters and staff. So we got to just walk across, so we won't.
Silly questions. The meeting is 6 or 7?
6.
6.
Yeah, it's at 6, so we're starting a little early.
Hopefully, we're going to get a quorum.
Well,
Hopefully.
if all these kids have to return from school, their parents drag them along, you get the quorum quickly if you have 3 people in a car.
Registered voter.
As long as they're a registered voter. You can bring kids anyway. They just can't, they can hang out in the back and watch movies if they want. So, yeah, there is music to that. I'm sorry that you didn't get the full effect. But, I'm sure they'll, fortunately, the weather looks like it's going to be much like today. It's going to be clear and comfortable. It's going to be a mosquito spraying at 4 a.m. tomorrow, and they're around the whole area, so we should be okay. And again, I said there will be some temporary bathroom facilities if people need them. No concession. There'll be no popcorn. People can bring their own popcorn, as Vivian said, but I'm afraid there's no popcorn to be had. So.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Anybody have any questions about it?
Now, only question, Sam, is do we have a posting for a meeting prior to a capital budget meeting prior to the ATM, or do we have no business to cover?
Well, I posted it for 6 p.m.
Right.
Anticipating that we didn't have any prior business. I think we finished everything I know about tonight. So,
Agreed.
but we do have a posted meeting. So maybe I'm going to try to get there as early as possible, and I'll see if I can somehow get some spaces so we can get generally in the same area just in case. If I do that, we'll never have to confer, but if I don't, and we have to confer on something, we'll be looking all over the place for everybody.
Right.
Well, does anybody have anything else? I don't at this point, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. If anybody wants to make it.
So moved.
Anybody want to second it? Everybody wants to stay in this meeting?
This is Francine. I'll second.
Susan Franklin will second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
You need a roll call, Sam?
I guess we better. I don't want to go afoul of the open meeting police.
There you
You know
go.
what happens if you do that?
We'll be in session overnight.
Okay, Brian, you have a,
Brian Host, aye.
we have a motion to adjourn. Brian,
Brian Host, aye.
I can't hear you. You're
Brian Host,
okay.
aye.
Okay, Francine,
Francine Lyons, aye.
Susan Franklin,
Aye.
Sam Wakeman, aye. Ralph Dormitzer.
Aye.
So we're adjourned. Michael, you don't even have to vote.
Right.
Thank you all very much. This is a brand new experience. Hopefully we can go back to what we're used to.
Yes.
So,
Sometime
so-
soon.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Sometime this summer we'll be able to do face to face again. So.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
So fingers crossed. Sometime this summer, face to face.
Yeah.
Sometime this summer. So.
Okay, well, all take care and be safe.
All right, see you better tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Hope so.
Thanks, Russell.
Hope we make it that far.